All right, here we are. This is episode 15, week 12 of the Fantasy Trail. I'm Matt.
DT here, back.
Your future president. Never mind. Mike Scarano here. Go ahead, Matt.
All right, so
I'm
I want to
Xing out the league here,
I want to apologize for the problem tonight. We're doing a little bit differently. Tonight we're going to be recording this, and then I'm going to have to post it later. So unfortunately, we are not technically live, but hopefully it'll be posted tonight. And Rachel, yes, you did win, barely. Also,
We actually finally have some viewers and we can't get it live.
and actually because
Congratulations, Rachel Haley. It's just showing how well we do, keeping it in the family.
so now
Go ahead, Matt.
this is being cast directly from my computer, so actually I won't be able to pull up any of my stats. Yeah.
We'll have to lie to you the whole while.
So you guys might have to help me out a little bit. So let's go over the recap from last week.
Yeah, I got it up, Tamala. Do you want me to pick out the games and run through them?
Yeah.
All right. Let's start with mine. I know Rachel's excited. It was the biggest blowout. I did get a chance to watch you guys last week. I went ahead and watched it actually Sunday morning as my prep for actually watching football. And I appreciate your kind words on the fact that I'm not usually this horrible at this game that we played, but my performance certainly did not back that up. I scored a measly 85, and Rachel crushed me with 140.
But not the low score of the week.
Score. It was or wasn't?
Was not.
It was not, my friend. Someone else decided to
okay.
go with that one. But this one is still in the playoff hunt. JT, I'm sorry about you've done very well.
Hold on, fellas. That absolutely was the highest score of the week.
No, Scarano only scored at 81.
You said lowest score. You're saying you had the lowest score.
Oh, lowest. I thought I was talking Rachel had the highest. Okay. Yeah, the only time she's ever had the highest, by the way, 2 weeks against this guy. No, Scarano,
you're that bored.
Yeah. Or Scarano, you basemented it out below me, but we don't need to spend a ton of time on this game.
Wait. No. Rachel had the high score by 9/10 of a point.
High score or not, it's still a high score. She put up.
High score, she's getting paid. That's what he's getting at. That's what he's getting at the money. So let's not fool ourselves here. And we're going to make this very clear. She gets the money, Tamala. You don't.
No. What I'm saying is the way he said it. It's like, oh, she blew everyone out. No, 9/10 of a freaking point. If Darren Sproles is able to go 6 more inches.
I did not say she blew everybody out. All I said was she blew me
money.
out.
Oh, no. Here's a gambling issue, and this is one of them. We're addressing this now. Not getting the money.
Back to the task at hand. She put up 50 points on Thanksgiving, and it was over right then. She had a huge Antonio Brown game, very large Deshaun Jackson game. Didn't need much more than that when you're starting out with 50. Justin Tucker put up 3 50-yard field goals in the first half.
Ridiculous.
I thought that was fun. That was enjoyable to watch. And Tyrod had absolutely nothing for the majority of the game, and then the last drive or so ended up with a 21. So she killed me. I had my typical horrible performance. I had almost all of my players score less than 10 points. Kenny Britt got my lone touchdown, and everyone else performed horribly. Every possible bench decision I could have made was incorrect. And pretty normal week.
On me about mine.
Oh, absolutely. But I'm not in the playoff.
Oh, no, I made a poor decision. I did. I'll speak about that
later. All right,
later.
so let's move on. Tamala, did you notice anything in that game that you can remember off the top of your head?
What game? You and Rachel?
Yeah.
I remember looking at Thanksgiving Day saying, no way catch that.
Yeah.
You know, like you
No
said, I
offense,
mean,
JT.
you have Antonio Brown, but then, you know, Rachel still has a lot of room for improvement. That being said, there's also, if she didn't have Antonio Brown, she would have been in deep trouble.
Well, but Antonio Brown, I would say, has actually, when looking at her team, and maybe this is more appropriate for the power rankings, I would actually argue is her Achilles heel this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at, but
He hasn't performed like
let's move on to another game that had playoff implications. That would be Angela versus Michael. Angela had been really putting up huge scores and doing quite well. Michael had been really
therapy
well.
this past week.
What's that, Skarna?
Well, she didn't do that. I mean, I'm just looking at her score right now, just for clarification. She got a 127. I mean, it didn't do terrible. Rogers had a big game.
Yep, that helped last night. He made it a lot closer for her, but Michael, outside of his kicker and his defense, had an incredible performance. And if his kicker and his defense showed up at all, he'd have had the top score this week.
Absolutely. I thought we were going to hear from the other county on that one. Go ahead,
Well, I mean, that's just the truth of it. The Panthers and Gano got a combined 5. That's pretty weak. You know, he had great performances from Bell, McCoy, Stewart. Rivers played nice. That's a nice looking team. Deion Lewis still hasn't really burst out.
One of the strongest running back cores in the league.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, he's got 4 running backs that he's.
And there's issues with each one of them, I would argue.
You know, Angela really got killed by her flex position. Although,
Yep.
that being said, you know, the Kansas City defense helped her out Sunday night. You know, she's still scary. She's still a scary team. You know, I thought she was going to put up it looked like she was going to put up a pretty low score there for a long time. And then she pulled it out and she put up another big score late.
You know, it's funny. I just always wonder, is Aaron Rodgers one of these guys who, as soon as the media starts to come down on him, and I've noticed this a little bit, seems to have a big game.
She did pull out a lot of points on Sunday and Monday night. I mean, 25 Rodgers, 14 Kelsey, 20 Chiefs D. It really made the game a lot more respectful. Michael was blowing her out for most of the week, but that's a big win for Michael. That's 3 in a row now. That almost puts him into the playoffs. He's not quite in at the moment, but he's tied. He loses in the tiebreaker. Must have lost to Tom earlier in the year. I think that makes it a little harder for Angela. She's still got a chance. She's outside looking in. Much further away than Michael, especially after they have lost to Tom.
All right, let's move on to the next game. Joel against Rick.
Yeah, Joel against Rich. Joel stopped the bleeding.
Yeah, and this was a matchup that went back and forth quite a bit on Sunday. I was watching this one closely. Look, Breeze is just ridiculous.
Well, and that's what I was exactly going to say, is that she's somewhat dependent with her team. Breeze had a good week, which in all reality he really has. They looked. Breeze was just so impressive that it ran up her score, but when he's off, her team's a little bit off.
But now, I mean, did she luck out because the Saints wanted to run up the score on Williams?
I love that though. the wide receiver throw. That was a total F you to him.
Yeah.
I do like her running up the score, but I've always argued that in the NFL, there's no excuse for a score run up. Don't ever disparage a team for doing so. They're being paid too much money. Just stop them.
And then,
Yeah, I mean,
That's
listen,
not my
Breeze
hot
was
take, by the way.
Breeze was amazing for her, but Breeze has been around that area. The reason she won this week was Emmanuel Sanders. He
Yeah.
had 26. He had a massive game on Sunday night. He had the game that allowed her to go up. And then Jordan Matthews didn't really come through. Sturgis did. And that was it. But without that game, she loses.
yeah, you know, Rich has to be disappointed in Rawls. You know, only 3.8 points. Jimmy Graham, I mean, he should have had a monster game against Tampa
Yeah.
Bay.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it almost, you really do have to question it, and I don't know. If you ask me right now who's in the Super Bowl, I definitely pick the Seahawks to be among one of the teams to win the NFC. But I just don't know if in a fantasy aspect you could depend on too many of the players, maybe other than Baldwin.
Weird team. And then for Rich's sake, that was it. I mean, he had a very long shot at making the playoffs anyway, but that knocked him out. So that's his death now, losing 3 in a row. There aren't many teams that are out, but he is one, and I believe I am another.
Duh.
Does Haley still have a chance?
She has a long shot. She's in the
Yes,
same
a
boat
long
as
shot.
Angela. Yeah, she's got to win the last 2, have a couple teams lose the last 2, and some tiebreakers go her way. But
Okay.
it is possible.
All right, JT.
And that brings us to the next game, which was our biggest matchup of the week. It was the 7-4 Jake versus the 8-3 Brian, 2 of the top teams in the league, and it was a really weird matchup.
Yeah.
Well, Cousins came through like he normally does for Jake, and it's just if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, would Kirk Cousins be one of the best fantasy quarterbacks? I'd say you were crazy. Honestly, right now he's a play every week. Ebron putting up a 0 sure didn't help him.
Well, even more than Ebron, Cooks. Who would have thought Cooks on a day when the Saints score 5 touchdowns, he gets a goose egg?
Insane that he didn't have a catch.
Especially in a route like that, yeah. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Brian's got some interesting questions coming forward. Does he start Kaepernick over Newton? And
Yeah, wow, who would have thought that would have been a decision?
and do you?
Well, I mean, to talk about Newton right now, and this is it's just my opinion of what I've seen. I was watching a game. There was 3-4 minutes left, and Riverboat Ron doesn't go for it on 4th when you have Cam Newton and Jonathan Stewart against the bad Raiders defense, and you punt the ball to Derek Carr when it's tied. I mean, to me, that's showing that right now that team has no faith in Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
that's just from a football standpoint, but
and then
Kaepernick's just putting up monster fantasy
I'm
numbers.
actually back to football, yeah. I just can't. I mean, Riverboat Ron in a 4th and 1. Jonathan Stewart was getting 6 yards a carry.
yeah.
60-pound quarterback. I mean, I'm sorry. The ball was on the 40. Derek Carr drove that ball up the field. They have the best kicker in the past 15 years.
Yep.
And an offense like that, you punt it to them. Because the reason you did that is because you don't trust Cam Newton, and I wouldn't trust him from here on out.
And then Hightower. Do you keep on playing Hightower? Hightower's put up some wonderful scores.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he put up a 5 or less, you wouldn't really be that surprised now, would you?
He did not play him last week, Matt. Just to clarify, I know you don't have your stats in front of you.
Yeah, I know. He had him on his bench.
He was on the bench.
But 17.5 points. He's looked good.
With what Ingram did as well is what I would question, because the fools in fantasy football now convinced me this was going to be a bad week for Ingram.
And they were wrong.
Well, in the end, Brian has some good decisions to be able to make. He's going to be able to put the Broncos D back in there. He's got a lot of guys. It's going to be hard sometimes to pick, especially if AJ comes back. But he's got Watkins all of a sudden, who might be a starter. He's got the Kaepernick decision. He's got Hightower. And that's a lot of firepower.
Probably put Hightower in over Gore is what I'd imagine.
Does he have a tight end,
I
though?
don't know. I just not starting Todd Gurley just kind of gets me, but I understand why.
Where does he?
Gore, not with the way he's played this year.
I know, but he just put up. It's all right.
Okay,
Wait till luck comes back.
but what does Brian do with Reed?
Hopes he plays.
Do you trust him? I mean, I think that's a big.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
If he's playing, you trust him.
Yeah, just like you trust Gronk. Killing me.
Well, big different story.
You had the second highest score. I'll just clarify that.
Separated shoulder.
Yeah.
Separated shoulder, but still played, still finished the rest of that game. So if you can't finish the rest of the game, you can play a week from then.
All right.
I'd play him every week.
Tough loss for Jake. In the end, I don't think it's going to kill him, but it did give him a much harder road to getting the bye now. He's still has a possibility of stealing that away. But Brian 100% sealed himself with the bye. So he's our guaranteed division winner.
Good for Brian.
Congratulations. Maybe your Browns will do as well next year.
Rough go
Never mind,
for
I'm
the
sorry I
Jets.
said anything.
All right.
I don't mean to disparage anyone living in the Cleveland area.
Let's talk about Casey and Colin.
Casey Collin. All right. Casey with another victory.
And
Yeah. His team looked very good. He's riding on.
Did quite well.
You want me to? The Cowboys' offense has been pretty prolific right now, combined with DeMarco Murray. I'm playing him next week. I just certainly hope that some of it goes down. I really need it to be in the playoffs here because right now I'm kind of on the outside looking in, but with the win, I think I'm looking pretty good. LeGarrette didn't have a great game for him, but just that top of his the very top of his team right there is pretty good, and Benjamin putting up a touchdown helps quite a bit.
I'm gonna go with my hot take right now.
Yes, sir.
Casey's gonna lose this week.
Do you know who he's playing?
No. I don't.
Just said it.
Okay.
I just made sure he's listening.
But okay, so yes, I understand the Cowboys played last Thursday night.
Okay.
Different circumstance being on Thanksgiving. But for the most part, these Thursday night games have been train wrecks. I'm gonna say Dallas offense is gonna crater this week.
Well, to continue what you're saying, Tamala, I actually agree with you a little bit on this one. What we sometimes find with rookies, not just in quarterbacks but in other positions, is later in the season is when they seem to struggle a little bit, and you're getting past like the maximum number of games Dak would have ever played in any of his college years.
But I'm just saying
Especially if you consider preseason.
I'm just gonna say that though it's you don't have the hype of Thanksgiving. Thursday night.
It's anticlimactic.
Well, I mean, I don't trust players playing on Thursdays.
Okay.
I don't like to if I don't have to.
I mean, but he's gonna.
You're also going against Minnesota in Minnesota. That's a tough defensive matchup.
No.
I don't know what to think of those two. It's going to be where he lives and dies by, though. I mean, if they have a bad week, he's done.
Who did the Cowboys play?
Probably
Detroit?
Homer, you mean?
The Cowboys play at Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
They're on the road. It's in a dome.
yeah, I mean,
Alright.
Minnesota played last Thursday too, so it's not really a short week for either of them.
The one thing I'll say, and this is the one thing in Casey's defense, and I hate doing it, the Cowboys have surprised me all year.
Oh no, I mean, I've definitely been expecting them to fall
I
off,
would have
but
picked them as a non-playoff team, and when they got that first loss, I was making fun of Casey right then on the group chat. And as I can say, I have been had egg on my face ever since then. I'm sorry to say, I look like a fool.
but what I'm gonna say is, if the Dallas offense is going to fail, I think it's gonna be this week on a Thursday night.
Okay.
For no other reason than it being other than it's Thursday night.
I like it.
All right.
I like it. I'm in.
Side note to the other team here. Colin gets the loss, but currently is holding on to the last playoff spot via tiebreaker. He's made some really weird choices. For example, playing the Eagles D against Aaron Rodgers and sitting the Giants D against Cleveland. It didn't cost him this week, but it would have been a 22-point swing, and in most weeks that could change an L to a W. I know he didn't play one the other week. I heard you guys discussing that.
Yeah.
He's got some questionable running backs. You got Ivory suddenly with the hamstring. You got Starks, who is weirdly inconsistent, and they might suddenly start bringing in Christine Michael now. He's got all those tight ends. He's got a good team, especially when Brady's rolling. But Brady didn't have a great week, and that weird defensive play. I don't know. He's the sixth playoff team right now, but I'm not sure how long that's going to last.
Just to clarify, win by me, loss by him, I'm in.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, because you're just losing to him in the tiebreaker right now.
Yes, the only way I'm losing to him right now. So loss by him, win by me. I'm in.
Okay. Speaking of you two, why don't we talk about the biggest blowout of the week?
Can I tell you when you guys were talking about like and Scarano made the comment, you know, the way things are going, it may not matter. I hadn't looked at the scores recently, and I got real panicked, and I thought something had happened.
Oh no, my friend. If you've noticed with Scarano, it's either feast or famine. We're just doing awesome, or the team's the most absolute train wreck you've ever seen in your life. Listen, all I can hope for is a bounce back. I didn't play Ingram. I listened to some of these fools on Fantasy Football Now. They were just kind of explaining how Ingram was in for a bad week. He hadn't practiced all week. How Hightower was going to be getting the majority of the snaps. And New Orleans puts up an incredible amount of points, and it was just putting in Smallwood was absolutely foolish. I regret it. It was a dumb move, and next week, I assure you, I'm not watching their stupid show. Our show's better. If you want better fantasy advice, don't watch those fools on ESPN2.
Alrighty, Tamala.
Do not play him.
Tamala, I have a question. Why do you hate Devontae Adams?
Look, I was talking to Scarano about this morning. I should have played him. He would have put up a 0. The Eagles would have won.
I explained to him that there is a philosophical argument against this, where you feel that you have an effect on what's going to happen later on, similar to the gambler's fallacy. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'm sure I'll figure it out.
You know.
Let me tell you something. He gets 0 and then he gets 25.
Yeah.
I understand Tamala not playing him. I have him in another league where he did win me the league this past week.
See, now, like, I had him, I put Landry in last minute. I just figured San Francisco, the Eagles, that was the first time they've allowed 300 passing yards all year.
Yeah, listen, I'm kind of teasing, but Scarano, you're a little off there, man. He's had 6 of his last 7 weeks are double digits.
He's had a couple good in a row. My bad.
His
I
lowest
did have one week where he put up a very low score.
Yeah, once or twice this year. Earlier in the year he did, but he really hasn't had that happen in a while. So I think.
Oh no, it was last week.
You got a good squad. I've said this. I think you got a good team. I think tight end is a mess because Gronk is such an inconsistent fool. That little stretch in the middle when he was playing and early on, you were great. And since he's been rough, you've had a couple rough weeks.
Yeah.
I still think you're going to be okay. I still think you're going to make the playoffs, and I would be very surprised if you don't at this point. Scarano, I like your team. There is some weird inconsistencies with some of your receivers.
Well, if you were to ask me what's truly been causing my problems, believe it or not, it's not the Ingram or me putting in Smallwood or anything like that. You have Jones and Robinson putting up small scores like that. I can't win.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You're 2 big receivers, both, and they're both somewhat known to do that. Robinson, perhaps a little more than Julio. You never expect Julio to not do well, and he's had 4 weeks below 6 this year. That's strange. That should never happen.
And then he blows up other weeks. He has been wildly inconsistent. He's my first-round draft pick. And Robinson was my 3rd-round draft pick. And if you just start to look at where you drafted and where you put your eggs and then what's paying off, I'm not trying to say anything, but when you look at like the projected ranking, these 2 guys are often anywhere between 1 and 5.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm just saying, you go onto the website and you start looking at where they're predicted to score. These guys are between 1 and 5. Like, you'd think that it was one of my stronger points of my team, but it's just wildly inconsistent.
It is. All right, so that concludes our week wrap-up. Do you want to look at week 13, fellas?
Sure.
All right.
Now, I'll go back. Did you say earlier that we have 2 weeks left to the playoffs?
1, buddy.
Yeah, this is our last week.
That's right. I missed last week. It is just 1 week left. So, yeah, this is
Make or break?
This is everything right here, boys.
Yeah, that's right. Wow, what a weird... Okay. Now I kind of want to sit down and look at some of the tiebreakers because there's, 4 teams at 6 and 6, and 2 of them are in and 2 of them are out right now?
Yeah.
Is that right? seed would be Tamala. Wow, I was off on that.
So
That's interesting.
I'm just saying, with all those teams being 6-6, for many of us, if we don't win, we're out.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, and I think that guarantees Brian, Joel,
Jake,
isn't it? Are they the only two people that are guaranteed a playoff spot because of the way that everybody could end up at 7-6?
yeah, I think so.
because Jake,
Wow.
even in a loss, would still be at 7-6, so it'd still be
It
in.
would be at 7-6, and it just comes down to all those tiebreakers, which we don't know off the top of our head.
Yeah.
All right, well that
Anyone
means
who's
there is one
with a
matchup.
6-6 record, like myself, Matt, Colin, I'm missing one for Michael. I really just feel it's going to boil essentially down to you win, you're in, and then there could be
Yeah,
maybe one tiebreaker from there.
I might have to go back on what I said earlier about Rachel having a chance because at the 5 and 7, her and Angela may not be able to catch everybody, even if they.
I think they're both out, JT.
I think they are.
No, no, no.
Interesting. Okay.
No,
so
no, 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 no,
Rachel
no,
and
no, no, no,
Paula
no,
Baxter.
no, 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 no. She'll make it because if she wins,
I
she'll
don't
be at
think
6
so.
and 7. If I lose, I'll be at 6 and 7. If Thomas loses, he'll be at 6 and 7.
Can all this happen?
You know, if Scarana wins,
And Colin
You
have to
play
lose.
Rachel, but you
Brown
play
have to
Rachel.
lose.
yeah,
So then you lose, Matt.
yeah.
Okay, it would have to require Colin, Matt, Michael, and Scarano losing, and then she would have to have beaten two of those teams in the season series, and she's got 2 of her 5 wins against me, so it doesn't bode well.
Yeah, how come I didn't get to play you twice?
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I haven't yet to figure out the math exactly how it could work, but it seems incredibly slim. There is one game, however, that does not matter at all this week, and it will be my swan song to this freaking crap year. It's me against Brian. He is 100% set in his 1 seed. I am 100% set in my 12 seed.
I think you
We
should.
don't really need to. We don't need to spend any time on the
Here's
game.
one thing that I think is interesting, JT, that I do like that provides a lot of drama for us. Of these 6 and 6 teams we've been mentioning and how close we all are, none of us are playing each other.
Yeah, there's still people that have
So-
some playoff stake in it, but
So
a few
that
of them
very
are
well
playing.
could come down to your tiebreakers.
Right. Okay.
This will be
Well, let's look at
fascinating.
what's.
I'm incredibly interested.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to all play out. It'll be curious to see some of the matchup of who plays who. The first matchup we have is Michael versus Joel.
Michael is one of the 6 and 6 teams who's a must-win right here. I look at Michael's team. In every aspect that I can see here, it looks strong, a little stronger than Joel's as far as any type of projections. I know she probably has a center team. She has Delaney Walker on she has Sharp and Walker on a bye. It's a tough call, though.
No,
I'll
I
give
think
you that.
that he's got an advantage here.
Get it
With-
first.
Walker's been
Go
one
to
of her
bed.
better players.
No,
Sharp's been playing a little better lately.
because you're gonna
She
be in
doesn't really
trouble.
have a backup tight
I'm
end.
gonna go
She doesn't have a good
upstairs.
bench.
Thank you.
That's the area where she's been thin. So
Get
this is
upstairs.
the last week where Bai's effect. I hope she maintains and hangs on to that 1 seed. I think that would be very helpful for her. But I would say Michael might take this one.
Of advice. Joel, go crazy on the fantasy, go crazy on the waiver wire, whatever it needs to take here. Drop like this defense you have on there. Don't be afraid to drop a take. Get rid of a couple guys on this one because I am looking at some of the numbers here, and Mike's looking pretty good.
Yeah. Yep. Next game. What do you guys see as your next one? I got
Let's go, Rich and Jake.
Rich versus Jake. Rich is certainly still playing. I don't think he's hitting the waiver wire really hard, which is fine. I understand that when you're losing, but he's still setting his lineup and trying every week. And
Sure.
You know,
Sure,
he
it's
had
always fun to play
got a
spoiler.
rough one this past week, but I like Jake's team. I'm actually rooting for Jake to lose here so that my wife gets the bye. I just don't see it. I don't see it playing out that way. Unless he has those, double zeros again or something like that, which would be very unlikely.
I don't know. I mean, right now Rich is projected to beat him, and I don't really see any moves that I see, that are definitely going to change that projection.
He still has the question on whether to play Russell Wilson or Matt Ryan. That would be one of the ones that I'm seeing. Wilson, of course, didn't have a stellar week last week, but I find that one to be. I would typically play Ryan, but
Yeah, I mean, Ryan at home, you got to go with Ryan.
Yeah, against Kansas City though.
At home.
In the end, Rich has only beat Jake's score like twice all year.
Okay.
So I don't think this is likely. The last time Jake beat him by 25. We'll see, but I would be surprised.
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about Colin and Angela.
Yeah, that's a big one for Colin. He's very tenuously holding on to that spot. Angela's been a good squad. They each. I'm sorry. Angela is affected. She loses Rashard Matthews, who's been a surprise star, absolute star.
Yeah.
So that's a big hit for her.
Does she have the depth on the bench?
But
maybe not.
But then she does have Bolden. She can just slip in there. Against
I think Matthews has been playing.
Yeah, but Bolden's probably been the most consistent Lions receiver all year. And they're playing New Orleans. So at New Orleans.
That's certainly your best choice.
Yeah, who would have ever thought in a million years Rashard Matthews would be the 20th ranked wide receiver?
I can't believe he's only 20th and not higher.
And as far as Colin is concerned, like I said, just looking at this and looking how I feel it's going to play out, I think of the 4 teams with the 6-6 record, I genuinely think 2 of them will probably win. And if he doesn't win this week, he will.
Can I just, watching Colin's game last week, I was pissed. I mean, Robert Kelly.
Oh boy, he's had your goat for a while, hasn't he, Tamala?
How does he score like 35 points against me? Like, absolutely ridiculous. Like, if he had put any kind of
he has had your goat, my friend.
Like, oh my goodness.
This one doesn't seem to be getting let go very easily, Tamala.
No, I mean, look, if I don't make the playoffs, it's going to be a game like that where I look back and be like, I can't believe.
I mean, look, Matt, is he a premier grade running back? No, he isn't. Here's what I'm going to say. Is Washington's offense the real deal right now? Which is something at the beginning of the year I, of course, would have never thought would have been the case. Yes, they are. They move the ball very well. Have a really good quarterback who deserves every bit of money as many of the other quarterbacks. They're able to run. They're playing well, man.
Yeah, but I mean, no. What I'm saying is, and whether or not you believe in luck or not, I mean, I've had some bad luck with the matchups I've faced.
No doubt. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
It's a tough go of it when you got good scores and you're losing to barely better scores. But, that stuff's going to happen. I'd be more surprised if you didn't make it. I still think you're going to make it. Why don't we look at your game next?
Okay.
Let's take a look at it, man.
I get Haley.
Yeah. Trying to play the
top 2 scores last week. I'm expecting a shootout, JT.
That's right. Tamale, you lose Mr. Pryor to a bye, but thankfully that kind of forces your hand on playing Adam, so that will probably be beneficial.
Nope, as soon as Matt plays him, that's a 0. We'll plug that one in.
Rich was not a fan at all.
Sense of humor now.
Look, Gronk. I'll play him, but I don't feel good about it, and I want to know if she's going to play Tyrod or if she's going to put in luck against me.
That's what I was wondering too. You guys have some of the top-ranked players in the league. Got the top-ranked.
Don't ever make a statement like a homer statement like that, because they'll hold you to it, guys. Just so you know.
You have the top-ranked running back. About the people you expect.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know if you stick with your homework call there. That's a tough one.
I mean, Rachel's one of those teams. You know, she's able to put up a huge score any week.
Yeah.
You just never know. And if she's playing luck, I have to wait till Monday night to find out. I mean, that's gonna hurt.
And Tamala always hates Monday night games when it comes to fantasy. I've noticed he has a tendency to play when it's kind of between two different guys. He'll pick the guy on Sunday. If it's little 6-1, half a dozen to the other, he'll pick the one on Sunday.
Oh, well, I mean, let me tell you, like playing Sproles last night. I mean, technically, I didn't know if he was gonna play until Monday. That was had me a little nervous.
It was really stressful, wasn't it, when you're up by 50 points?
Yeah, well, that's how we roll.
Well, that's an interesting one, and the final matchup is a very interesting one too. You got Casey versus Scarano, and I think we forgot about this. Casey is losing DeMarco Murray.
Oh,
Man, oh my! I just saw that myself. So who does he have on the bench as far as running back? Who can he plug in here?
nobody. Or
Oh man,
Allen.
Michael's going up.
I don't call my shots. I don't call my shots, Casey. But I'm gonna tell you something right now. I think you're gonna struggle here. I see Ingram doing well again. I'm not sitting him again or doing any more of this foolishness. I'm just gonna play the higher ranked guy. As far as numbers are concerned on this one, I have him beat in most categories here. With the exception of, well, I guess, if you compare, never mind, I have Gordon beating Elliott. As long as my receivers show up, I think I might have this game.
But I don't think your receivers are going to show up. I think 17 points for Jones is ridiculous against Kansas City. And 10 points for Robinson against Denver. Good luck.
I have no choice, my friend. I have no choice on those two.
Oh, I understand.
I'm. Listen,
Yeah, you know what's going on? I think he's got the better squad, but I think that him taking that Murray hit and having Dak and Ezekiel going at Minnesota on a Thursday night makes this a much closer game.
Okay. Okay. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a very close game. Keeping in mind that my running backs had already gone through their bye, especially the Gordon bye, somewhat hurt me here. We'll see, my friend. We'll see.
The last time you played, you won.
Yep.
It was week 7. You won by 6. It was on your beginning of your roll. And you guys have been back and forth in terms of who's scoring the most points. So he scored the most points the last 3 weeks. But
It's with DeMarco Murray playing in all 3 of those games.
That's right. Him losing Murray is a big one. That's a huge one for him. He's been riding that all year. So I'm going to try and sit down at some point this week and see if I can figure out the tiebreakers. I think it's going to get incredibly convoluted when there's this many teams that could have this many outcomes. But I'm going to try and see.
Is the number 1 tiebreaker the head-to-head matchup?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that's why Colin is in, because I think he beat the 2 teams, you and whoever the other 6 and 6 squad, Michael, that I wasn't thinking of. And
He beat
I
me.
think the same goes for Tamala.
Yeah.
Because, he just beat you. So that must have been it.
That
But
puts
I
me
don't.
in where I'm at. Well, okay.
Yeah.
So, but again, like I said, a loss there and a win here, and this could change very quickly.
Definitely, I'm looking at it now, and the reason I think it's that is because and I'm sure we could just look this up, but Colin is one of the last teams in the league in points scored, so it definitely can't be a point thing. I
So
think
that
points
makes you
is.
assume it's head-to-head.
I wish
the
this was a
points is
point
the
thing.
tiebreaker after head-to-head, I think.
Okay.
So that would bode well for Tamala. That would bode well for Casey, and that bodes well for Michael. That does not bode well for Scarano, Colin, and if Rachel had any kind of movement up into there, because
But
those teams.
you're still talking tiebreakers. Where I'm saying, if I get in, it's going to be on a win, and it's going to be on a couple losses from somewhere else.
Yeah, all of which is possible, but even with that, you're still odds are going to have some tiebreaker situation going on because there's so many squads at that level.
Okay. All right, man. We'll see how it goes.
So I'm gonna put this out here. I'm assuming hopefully we'll work out all our difficulties, but it's gonna be an open invitation right now for next week. Everyone who didn't make the playoffs invited on the show.
Well, JT, I hope your schedule's clear, my friend. That wasn't my hot take, guys.
We'll see how the week goes, but all right. So instead of power rankings, I was just gonna look at playoffs, but it's gotten so crazily convoluted.
I feel
I'm
the
going to do a
playoff
playoff.
ranking you just gave actually kind of discusses exactly where everything lies, JT.
Yeah, it's a confidence pool. There's 0% chance for me and Rich. I'd say there's a 10% chance for Angela and Rachel. I would say there's a 50-50 for Tamala, Colin. I would say that there's about a 40% chance, 40-60 for Michael and for Scriano because you guys are losing the tiebreakers. Yeah, I think you're losing the tiebreakers. I would say Jake and Casey are each about 75%, and Joel and Brian are 100.
All right.
All right. Let's talk about money real quick.
Okay.
Do we still have people who have not paid?
Only Casey.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no.
Wait.
No. We have a problem right here in River City, my friend. You're telling me that I'm playing a team who hasn't paid?
So
I feel if this money doesn't come in, he has forfeited his game, and I'm in the playoffs. This is ridiculous. I was one of the first to pay.
does he have
Hashtag winning the league.
does he have to be paid by the end of the regular season?
I mean,
He has to be paid on September 1st.
we've usually said that you're supposed to be paid before the season starts. Now, without getting into too many details, there were people that have recently paid me, but there is. Yeah, all right, you were one of them, Mala, but you were not the latest one.
I bet you brought it up. Which is also no honor among thieves, my friend. Absolutely not. Casey, the check comes in or it's forfeit time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I do think that we need to start writing down a few things that have to be discussed when this season ends and before the next season begins, before things get
There'll be
crazy
less
from
to
the
talk
scoring.
about once the playoffs start. Honestly.
Yeah, I know, but we need to have these things written down officially. I would also really like somebody else to be banker. I truly despise hanging onto the money. I know Tamala used to do it, and I took over from that. But
Yeah, because I hated it too.
that would be another thing.
Let me interpret
Somebody
that in
perhaps
my
did.
brain. A bunch of degenerate gamblers have trouble holding on to money. Couldn't imagine how that works.
Well, let me explain to you, buddy. I went and spent it on other things.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, but I don't know, Tamala. We got to put something in place, but I think much like the idea of penalizing the last place team, which I think is a good idea, even though I am the last place team, I think these things need to be put in place before the year starts in order for them to be executed.
So, do we want to plan on having some sort of get together? Maybe Pro Bowl week.
Yeah, even if we do like a hangout, that would be
Yeah.
fine. You know, if we could do something
Yes.
like that for people that can't make it. But I think I'd like to get a discussion going. I know Michael Thomas always mentions this. We should try and do a get together maybe for the first week of the playoffs.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Assuming my schedule's clear, I'm in, man. It sounds great.
Even if I'm not in, it'd be really fun to sit there with the people that are in and watch the games in some way.
Yeah.
But in the end, most importantly, we need to set these things ahead of time, from money to scoring to rules to all that stuff.
All right, and then I think one other thing we need to talk about, or at least get the discussion going, because we have, we're averaging like 9 views a week. Christmas. I,
You mean
I
the holiday season?
yeah, the holiday season.
I'm offended. Thank you.
No, you're not.
Excuse you.
In 3 weeks. So that will be the second week of the fantasy playoffs. I know Scarano will be traveling. I'll be
You know, I
traveling.
might be able to do a special broadcast from Western New York. I could see. I mean, I have Wi-Fi and everything there. It'd be fun, maybe. I don't know.
See, I
And
won't.
I'm not going anywhere, so.
I won't have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Jamel, I'll be honest with you here. You kind of run the show as far as the technical aspects go, and I'm fine saying, forget it. Let's just have a glass of eggnog and enjoy the holiday season.
So I don't know. We'll have to.
I'm sure we can work it out regardless. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. But why don't we wrap it up with our always lovely concluding segment?
Well, guys, great week in football we had. I mean, it was rivalry week in college. And I look at the NFL and I look at college, and boy, there were a couple of great college games. I watched the Michigan-Ohio State game, double overtime game, and fantastic. But, I always wonder, how does college get it wrong? Why aren't they popular? What happened? I mean, Michigan played Ohio State into a huge crowd of 110,000 people, and my Wolfpack won. But we do have one problem. College always manages to make this not fun. Let me give you an example right here. Let me explain to you what's not fun. The playoffs as they are right now, not fun. You can see the teams, Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Washington, and that's on New Year's Eve. The same thing they did last year when their ratings dropped 25%. That's a great idea, guys. Let me just propose something that might be a little bit more fun, college football. Maybe this one with Michigan. Double overtime in front of 110,000 people. That's larger than some of 2 NFL stadiums combined. They go into double overtime and you penalize them for that. You put Washington in with this namby-pamby schedule. But better yet, let's start talking most fun. College football, you're again going to have a game on New Year's Eve that you knew wasn't successful. Asked why do you do it? To protect your precious bowl games, because I want to see the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the Conquest Bowl, the Hat Bowl, the Shirt Bowl, the Ream of Paper Bowl. I'm sure we need all that. I have a better idea for you, college football. Here's my proposed. Bama, State, Clemson, Michigan in, Washington, and for our number 5 ranking, a special guest, Cleveland Brown. College, you're never going to get this right. You're still going to stick with tradition. And you know what, guys? Maybe I'm wearing the wrong hat. With that, I take it away. Wait for any counterpoint, please.
I just want to say that it's going to be very interesting this year with New Year's Day being on a Sunday. So you're going to get to see it.
Listen, it's New Year's Eve. People have other things to do than watch football. I'm sorry. You had this right before. Your ratings went through the roof. How do you mess this up? And they say we have to protect the Rose Bowl. Guys, let this go. Give the public what they want. The NFL has actually figured this out, and that's why it's the most popular league there is. I disparage them often, but I think for once they have this one right.
This is one of the few things I truly don't care about. I'll watch them if they're on. Their background for me, I don't really give a crap.
Yeah, I don't.
I'd much rather be concerned about
Mike Scarano's plan puts your Wolverines in, just so you know. Yeah, on New Year's Eve, I want to go to my New Year's Eve party and go have a couple glasses of champagne. Maybe I don't want to watch football that day. New Year's Day would be fine for me. Just like everything.
I understand your point. I just don't. Personally, it doesn't bother me. I didn't watch either one of the games last year. I didn't care.
Oh, you were doing something on New Year's Eve?
No, I just didn't watch.
Shocking.
I literally didn't do anything. I didn't go out and do anything.
No.
That's not the point.
I call it amateur night when it comes when you're hanging around me.
I think what JT is saying.
Not going well, and you stick with it. You're not just stupid. You're dug in.
Yeah, but no. What I'm gonna say is JT growing up where he grew up. he doesn't really care about college sports. Just like growing up where I grew up, I don't care about college sports.
Fair. It's not particularly popular around me. I'm just a sports nut.
No, I mean, in the Buffalo, I mean, you really have no idea how like unpopular college sports are where we're from.
Okay. I'm just saying, when I look at something like this and you see somebody get something wrong, this is what scares me about the NFL. When you see somebody getting something wrong, you can't figure out a way to correct it because you feel that you're stuck in this position. You're not stuck. You have negotiating power with ESPN. You tell them when the game's going to be. If not, find a new provider. We don't need to see the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the CarQuest Bowl, and all these other bowls. Give the public what they want. See, I can't even watch this game because sometimes Jessica says, why are we watching this game? Can't we watch Times Square? And you know what? Sadly, on this one, she's right.
Buddy, that's when you buy a second TV.
Yeah, it's in a room. We're at a party. We're at a party, man.
All right.
This is what I'm trying to say.
All right.
All right, guys, signing off here.
All right, guys.
I'm out.
Sounds good.
I'm out.
Gentlemen, best of luck this coming week. I truly can't decide if I'd be happier if you made the playoffs or if you didn't. It is a constant battle I
Yeah, we're
have.
both jerks.
Hey, if we both,
The three guys who were in this podcast didn't make it.
but you know what? At the same time, if Scarano and I both do make it, your initial power rankings not that far off. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll be really curious. I clearly messed up on myself, but I'll be very curious to see how I did with the other teams in the end because I have that paper still. So I'll announce that on the final week. I'll
It's in my
compare.
notebook.
Excellent,
All right,
excellent.
guys.
All right.
Take off here.
Have a good night.